Welcome back to The Hidden Logic as we continue our massive Week 10 investigation into the horrifying shadow economy. Over the past two videos, we exposed the elite offshore tax havens and the incredibly violent global drug trade. We proved that the modern financial system is actively addicted to the massive liquidity provided by illegal corporate operations. But today, we must examine the absolute darkest and most disturbing sector of the entire underground global financial network. We are going to expose a massive industry that completely strips human beings of their fundamental dignity and freedom. We are talking about modern human trafficking and the highly profitable business of forced human labor operating right now. When most people hear the word slavery, they completely assume it is a terrible tragedy from ancient human history. They believe that the modern civilized world successfully abolished the physical ownership of human beings many generations ago entirely. But the terrifying hidden logic reveals that there are actually more human slaves alive today than ever before historically. According to the International Labor Organization, nearly 50 million people are currently trapped in modern slavery across the globe. This massive underground industry generates an estimated $150 billion in illegal corporate profit every year. To understand this horrific shadow economy, we must look at the brutal economic difference between smuggling drugs and trafficking humans. When a violent cartel successfully smuggles a kilogram of illegal narcotics, they can only sell that specific product once. But when a criminal network captures a human being, they can exploit and sell that human labor repeatedly, indefinitely. A human being becomes a permanent financial asset that constantly generates completely untraceable dark money for the shadow economy. Let us examine how this massive illegal labor force is deeply integrated into the legitimate global corporate supply chain. Look at the expensive, highly advanced smart devices and electric vehicles that we enthusiastically purchase every single day globally. The batteries powering these beautiful modern machines require massive amounts of a specific raw chemical mineral called cobalt today. The vast majority of the global cobalt supply is physically extracted from massive unregulated mining operations in the Congo. Hundreds of thousands of desperate people, including incredibly young children, are forced to dig toxic minerals with their bare hands. The massive Western technology monopolies completely ignore this horrific reality while aggressively promoting their clean, green energy corporate initiatives. They create highly complex corporate supply chains to intentionally distance their famous luxury brands from the brutal physical reality. They essentially outsource their human rights violations to massive shadow contractors operating entirely outside of international legal jurisdiction, always. And this brings us to a critical moment in our deep investigation where I desperately need your direct perspective. Let us pause right now, because I must know exactly how you feel about this massive institutional corporate hypocrisy. Go down to the comments right now and answer this very specific and highly controversial moral question for our community. If a major technology brand knowingly uses slave labor in its supply chain, should the chief executive face prison? Drop your detailed answer in the comments below right now so we can expose the real, modern threats together completely. Your insight is absolutely crucial because the global elite wants you to remain completely blind to their dirty supply chains. We must also expose the terrifying rise of digital slavery and cyber trafficking operations happening in Southeast Asia currently. Massive organized crime syndicates are actively kidnapping young, educated technology workers and trapping them in massive guarded scam centers. These modern digital slaves are violently forced to execute sophisticated financial fraud campaigns and cryptocurrency scams targeting Western citizens. They are physically beaten and intentionally starved if they fail to steal enough digital money from unsuspecting global victims. This means the annoying spam message you receive on your phone might actually be sent by a desperate hostage. This completely redefines the modern concept of human trafficking, combining extreme physical violence with highly advanced digital financial theft. We must also look at the massive global migration crisis and how it heavily fuels the human trafficking economy. Desperate people fleeing violent wars and extreme poverty are highly vulnerable targets for international criminal smuggling networks operating openly. The cartels often charge massive financial fees to smuggle refugees across dangerous physical borders, promising them a better future. But once the refugees cross the border, they are immediately forced into completely unregulated agricultural labor or domestic servitude. The shadow economy uses these undocumented, invisible people to harvest our cheap food and clean our luxury corporate offices. Because they have absolutely no legal status, they cannot report the horrific physical abuse or the massive wage theft. If governments actually wanted to stop this massive human tragedy, they would aggressively prosecute the wealthy corporations employing them. Instead, politicians completely weaponize the immigration debate for cheap political votes, while ignoring the massive corporate demand for cheap labor. We must aggressively demand absolute, total transparency in every single corporate supply chain operating in the global market today. We must force massive multinational corporations to legally prove that their profitable products are completely free from slave labor. You have a profound moral duty to share this urgent alternative perspective with everyone who consumes these modern products. Share this video immediately on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and every other social platform where your community actively gathers daily. We must break the powerful and dangerous illusion that slavery ended and completely expose the bloody reality of global commerce. But the illegal drug trade and modern slavery are only two physical components of this massive underground financial network. What happens when the shadow economy moves entirely into the digital realm, where government regulators cannot see anything happening? Next time, we will conclude Week 10 by exposing the massive hidden world of dark web marketplaces and untraceable crypto. We will discover how completely anonymous digital networks have created the perfect, unregulated financial paradise for global criminal syndicates. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and never stop questioning the artificial financial narratives surrounding you every day. The shadow economy relies entirely on your continued public ignorance, so stay awake, stay vigilant, and keep tracking the hidden logic.